What's the difference between a Jehovah's Witness and a Peterbilt? This is about as good as it gets in the trucking world. A 2002 Pete with a cat in it. And you know what? I just fired this up. I couldn't believe it. It held air overnight. 15 years old, and it held 60 pounds all night. It's unbelievable. Anyway, let's pull in the shop, rip it apart. So this is basically as good as it gets. 2002 Peterbilt with a C15 in it, but this was the first model after the 3406. 3406 was a great engine, and they went with a larger stroke on the crankshaft, so you got a little bit more, pretty much a stroker 3406 I would call it. It has about 550 horse, I think. This one puts out about 1850 foot-pounds of torque. Single turbo. It wasn't long after that they went to a twin turbo setup, but this basically got you the power with the fuel efficiency. I'd buy this truck in a heartbeat. 2002 is 15 years old right now, and you can tell it's just spotless inside. You can tell he really takes care of his truck. Got nice toggle switches. Everything's clean. Even the bunk, even though the bunk doesn't get used, it's in very good shape. Nice exhaust, but he still has a muffler on it, so it's not. I know the loud exhaust is nice, but not when you do it all day, every day. Wet line on it. Really nice rims. He even armor alls his 24.5s. So just a beautiful truck. Nice. Running down a dream, a catchy little trucker phrase on the back of the bunk, you gotta have it. So this one's actually for sale. I think it is sold, but if it doesn't sell, I'll let you guys know. If you guys want this truck, I'd buy it in a second. Just a really nice, pretty much the epitome of trucking in North America. So yeah, we got to pull the transmission. It was grinding as it was coming in. The stick was like popping out of gear and slipping out of gear. The clutch is not very old, so we don't have to worry about the clutch. Do have to worry about the wet line, and we do have to worry about somehow squeezing this transmission out from underneath here. Regardless, I think you got to pull the exhaust here from the flex line and the Y, and then either try and squeeze it out through here, which I don't think is going to happen. More than likely, we'll have to pull the step off and slide it out this way here. So, not my favorite job, but it's simple, straightforward. I get to lay on my back for most of the day, which is good because I had 2 glasses of Stefan's homemade wine, and I think it gets more alcoholic every day. And he gave it to me like 60 days ago, so it's kind of a slow start this morning. Here we go. I think Gary must have got his hands on this transmission before, because they're nicely labeled red, green, focus. And then he puts all black lines on there just to make it a pain. Of the jobs I hate the most, it's probably dropping the drive shaft, and then even worse is hooking it back up again. So stinking heavy. As long as it falls that way and doesn't hit my oil pipes. And then I knock. Oh, the drain caught my nipple. There we go. Oh, it's so bad. Nice and slow. Don't hit the exhaust. Sure, just go whichever way you want. It's so big and heavy. Is it gonna fit? Probably not. Maybe. Maybe. There it is. Just got to pick up on the front of the truck with my trusty little Clarky King forklift. So that transmission just needs to be rebuilt. So I was told to just swap this transmission. It's a known good transmission. With these Eatons, if I was going to change the clutch, I'm not on this one because it was done not too long ago, I guess. You can put the whole clutch assembly on the input shaft, and then just as you're rolling it up, tighten the bolts down evenly on the pressure plate to the flywheel. I'm not going to do that for this one because we're not touching the clutch, so I got to line up the input shaft just with the clutch splines and work your way in, get the pilot in there. And a nice way to keep that handy is just a tape measure and tape box and just bring it in evenly. The gaps all the way around have to be nice and even, and then there's no fighting with it. Bouncing on it doesn't do anything. Sometimes sticking it in gear so you can rotate the output shaft just to turn it to try and get it to roll in works. But yeah, we'll see how easy this goes. I'm gonna move some parts over, I'm gonna roll it back underneath and go down the road. It's just that easy. It just takes a really long time. Here we go. All right, got our clutch linkage on, nut back on again. You gotta keep an eye on it that this is a pull clutch, meaning that the release bearing actually goes in behind. So as you bring the transmission in, you got to keep the release bearing level, and that it slides in, and then as you go the lever flips. I got a couple of broken bolts that I pulled out. Luckily there was a little bit sticking out. I was able to heat it up and grab it with a pair of vice grips, pull them out. All the other holes cleaned with a tap, stick it in a drill and clean the holes up, clean the old bolts up if they're rounded at all, because Gary got his hands on it. Then you want to toss those and get some new bolts, grade 8. Okay, it's getting late, it's tired. Okay, the torque on those is you got to stop a quarter turn before it snaps. It's very simple. Here we go. 6 5/8, 6 3/4. Not bad. I want to make the rod longer, so I want to get it excited. Oh, 6 3/4, 6 3/4. Look at that. I think starts the bolts. I think the pilot's in, but it's pretty dark outside. I'm gonna put some bolts in there, and then we're good. I don't like using an impact gun because you don't really get a feel for it. Just the first 3 or 4, and then I'll pull them all back out again, throw some Loctite on it, and then call it a day. So again, you don't work past 7 because then you screw up. And as simple as rolling a transmission together is, do you see the release forks right there? Okay, well, you know what I'm looking at. Anyway, that release fork should be tight up against the bearing. Let me see, you're gonna lose all your light, so I can't do that. Anyway, it's jammed into the clutch. And if it was turned at all and it would hit like that piece, it would have folded right where it's supposed to. Instead, it got caught in there, and now I have all of my bolts Loctited in around the outside. I gotta pull them all back out again, put the tranny jack underneath, roll it back probably a ½ inch, and then pull the fork out and then roll it together again. Re-Loctite every bolt. Don't work past 7, and don't make that mistake. I make the mistakes for you, so then you can skip that step and say thank you to boss. So in reality, it's not a big deal if that fork gets behind the release bearing. It's just I try to get into a groove or try to think of the next step, and you tap out all the holes and everything's going nice and smooth, and then something like that happens, and it's like there's nothing I hate more than doing things twice. So yeah, 20 minutes, it's not the end of the world, but it's just one of those things where it puts you in a bad mood, and when it should only take 20 minutes, it ends up taking like 40. You get pissed off. You just got to learn to overcome that, I guess, and keep going. But I'm busy, so I'm going to put the camera down. Here we go. All right, setting up your PTO drive. Basically what we want is 9 to 11 thou of backlash between this teeth and the drive gear on the transmission. To do that, just shim your PTO closer or farther away, the farther you get, the farther away, the more backlash you get. Closer you go, the less you get. So basically it's 2 thick and 1 thin is a good place to start. A little bit of spray tack gasket on there, and then open up your housing. Put your dial indicator right on this tooth here, and move it back and forth until you get about 9 to 11 thou. Not that fussy, but you gotta have that backlash there, because otherwise when the gears heat up, there's no room for it to move, chew the teeth apart, makes a big mess. So here we go. Not as heavy as the drive shaft. I don't need 11/16, I need 5/8. Alright, she's all back together again. It went not too bad, took a little longer than I hoped it would. But the yokes were different on the back of the transmission. So were all the airline fittings and the grease fittings for the clutch. Those were, the truck is automatic, the old ones were manual, but the location was different, so then the automatic lines didn't fit on, so I had to put different fittings on, stuff like that. I should have swapped it all over and it was side by side. But anyway, it's done. I gotta wipe some paw prints off of it. We'll take it down the road. The yokes were different, so I had to bring the transmissions over to the neighbor. He's got a, since I sold the service truck, I don't have the big airline anymore. I haven't had any need for it, so I haven't put it on yet. But I guess I'll have to do that. Anyway, that's what neighbors are for. It's actually his transmission jack too, so I'm gonna bring that back. And in case you're wondering if you're in Dunnville or not, well, it's not Dunnville until you see a guy driving a shirtless forklift down the road with a transmission jack on it. Or through the Timmy's drive-thru, then you know that you're in Dunnville too. There's a lot of lawnmowers that go through the drive-thru. Go to your home. So bumpy. So bumpy. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you love the channel, consider heading over to Patreon. There's a lot of stuff happening there to help support the channel. And remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich.